My name is Danielle, and I am the president of Survivors Homicide Incorporated, which services those who've lost loved ones and friends to violence. Survivors of Homicide is honored once again to be the Connecticut sponsor for the National Crime Victim Rights Week, and would like to thank you on behalf of all victims in Connecticut for coming today. This year's theme, Reshaping the Future, Honoring the Past, pays tribute to the millions of crime victims over the decades who have been summoned the strength to rebuild their lives, their shattered lives, families, and communities, one step at a time. Also, it honors the victim service community members who have walked alongside those victims, responding to their courage with unwavering commitment and skillful guidance. What is our greatest challenge? Match, if not exceed, the legacy of past achievements to service the victims. The Victims of Crime Act of 1984, the Crime Victims' Rights Act of 2004, and the many laws at federal and state levels stand as benchmarks of the first quarter century of the victim rights movement. We stand at the threshold of a new era in victim services, on which we acknowledge the challenges of serving victims of emerging crimes, as well as responding to crimes such as domestic violence and sexual assault with renewed energy and resolve. We are committed to respond to every type of victimization, from homicide to human trafficking, with knowledge, skill, and compassion that tomorrow's crime victims will demand and deserve. To meet the needs of the future, we must confront the changing face of crime. Children living with domestic violence, youth threatened by street violence need better protection and more responsive services. Underserved victims, such as American Indians, Alaskan Natives, immigrants, seniors, lesbians, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and questioning victims, and victims with disabilities, all deserve understanding and support. To most effectively serve victims in the future, we must learn from our past successes, foster victims' resilience, and never cease advocating for the rights of crime victims. How do we move forward? Be inspired by the accomplishments of the past. In celebrating National Crime Victim Rights Week, April 10th through April 16th, 2011, Survivors of Homicide, as a state sponsor each year, reaches out to the communities across the state, bringing awareness to the victims and victim rights and the services available to them. Agency events and communications are ongoing efforts throughout the year, focusing on bringing awareness to crime and victim rights through the Office of the Victim Advocate, Office of Victim Services, Survivors of Homicide Incorporated, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Connecticut Sexual Crises Services, Assault Crisis Services, as well as Jane Doe No More, which improves the way society responds to victims of sexual assault, Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and the Connecticut Child Advocate. Today, we have available at the surrounding table specific information regarding the services offered by the victims' agencies for anyone who would like more specific information. Now, where are we? The most recent 2009 Uniform Crime Report statistics reported that of the 20 million crimes committed in the United States, 4.3 million were violent. However, only 49% of violent crimes were reported to the police. Youths ages 12 to 24 had the highest rate of victimization, and 121,613 persons over the age of 65 were victims of violent crime. Almost half of the children, 46.3%, birth to 17 years of age, experienced a physical assault, 10.2% child maltreatment, and over 6% of sexual victimization. Victims ages 12 or older experienced approximately 126,000 rapes or sexual assaults. Violent crimes by intimate partners, current or former spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend, accounted for 26% of non-fatal violent crimes against females, with 5% against males. And over 2,700 violent crimes were reported to the police on the college and campus universities. Homicides? The number of homicides in Connecticut in 2010 was 142. The Uniform Crime Report in 2009 estimated that 15,241 persons were murdered nationwide. Of female murdered victims, 35% were murdered by an intimate partner. 521 workplace homicides occurred in the United States, accounting for 12% of all workplace fatalities. Connecticut, unfortunately, experienced 8 homicides alone in 2010 due to the incident at Hartford Distributors. Identity fraud. Nearly 11 million adults become victims of identity fraud, up from 10 million in 2008. Hate crimes. In 2008, over 7,700 hate crime incidences were reported to the FBI by local law enforcement agencies. Alcohol-impaired driving fatalities. In 2008, 32% of all traffic fatalities, 11,773, were alcohol-impaired driving fatalities. Stalking. During a one-year period, 3.4 million people ages 18 or older in the United States were stalked. And last but not least, internet fraud. In the first half of 2010, spyware infections prompted 617,000 U.S. households to replace their computers. 1 in every 11 households surveyed had a major problem due to spyware, with damages totaling $1.2 billion. We all understand that we are facing hard economic times, and difficult choices have to be made. However, with each year, violent crime continues, and we have to add more crime victims to the list. An increase in domestic violence services tells us that outreach efforts are resulting in positive results through building awareness and the trust for the victims, crime victims, enabling them to reach out to the system. These points are key facts that we need more services, not fewer, as a matter of public safety. We are fortunate to have with us today Governor Malloy, as well as legislators who have been strong supporters of crime victim rights, and several crime victims who have graciously agreed to speak with all of you today. I will defer to them to provide you with the insight of the journey they are on by sharing their experiences and challenges. Thank you very much.